There we go. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the White Sand Self Care Group. I am your host, Laura Cross, and your resource for self care. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. But today, I want to introduce to you Tim McCarthy. He's a dynamic educator with a Grandmaster rank in martial arts and a master's degree in education, and with a wealth of experience in both academia and martial arts training. He has curated a unique plan for child development, harnessing the best practices from child psychology, physical activities, and emotional strengthening exercises. Tim has crafted an easy to understand guide and nurturing balanced children in today's complex world. He is the author of Raising Four-Dimensional Children in a Two-Dimensional World. And Tim, I'm so glad to have you with us here today.
I'm happy to be here. I hope everybody had a happy holiday. I don't know when they'll see this, but I guess we're into the new year.
Yeah. Well, no, we're live right now, and
Oh,
it'll go up.
Right.
Yep.
We're live.
Yep. We are live. So they are hearing it right now. So tell us, what do you mean? What are the four dimensions that you're talking about?
All right. So, and this is a very Eastern thing. I didn't invent it. I just kind of learned it through the martial arts. But in my opinion, in that philosophy, there are four dimensions to a human being: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And they are separate and they are intertwined and work together. And so in self-care, it's important to realize that if you're an academic and everything is logic and science, and you ignore your emotions, you ignore your body, you ignore your spirituality, that's not a recipe for a happy life. Likewise, if you're all emotional and you're a hot mess and you ignore the rest, if you are just a jock, a physical person who exercise, no attention to your relationships, no attention to your mind, again, the spirit, to have a balanced life, to be happy, I think you need to have a balanced life. Even if you emphasize one or more of those dimensions over the other, you are a teacher, you are an athlete, you are a family person, and your job is to raise your family, or you're a holy person. But you still, in my opinion, need balance in your life. Don't ignore the other three dimensions.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we focus on where you have strengths, you have weaknesses, and we kind of just let them go at that. But you're really talking about kind of addressing them and, like you said, balancing it all out.
Absolutely. And again, that's to me the way to happiness. It's, if you have a four-legged stool and you take away one leg, what happens? Boom. So you need that balance. And yeah, from my point of view, and my book, the point is to raise four-dimensional children. And of course, if you're having trouble with your children, self-care is a lot more difficult. And so part of self-care is part of caring for your children. If you understand the four dimensions, you can raise them with a four-dimensional attitude and in all four dimensions.
Yeah, not looked at as it's a bad thing or a weakness, because sometimes people look at where men need to be strong, this and that, and they're not allowed to be, so there's still kind of always that balance. So was it the martial arts? What brought you to putting that all together and writing that book?
Yes, my career. I was a teacher, high school teacher for 10 years, both public and private schools and in administration. And then I moved into the martial arts full time because the academic world was not addressing all four dimensions. I was a teacher, I was a coach, that was good. Where was the emotional? Okay. And where was the spiritual? I happened to teach in private school, so we could address the spiritual, but again, not the emotional. When I got into the martial arts, I could teach a class and we had physical activities, physical skills, mental. The kids and adults had to memorize certain techniques, forms, self-defense. There was a mental curriculum for them. Emotional, the confidence that you gain from training in the martial arts, tremendous. And spiritual, although we didn't focus on any one religion, we focused on morality. It's important to know how to punch somebody, but it's much more important to know when to punch somebody and when not to punch somebody. And so, yeah, most good martial artists will teach you self-defense,
Mhm.
not offense.
Right,
And
right. To,
so
to,
that's
to,
where I
to
got it.
protect yourself or to be able to, do that, but not to necessarily go look for a fight.
Absolutely. And not bully people, not use your strength to an unfair advantage.
Yeah. And I know you focus a lot too on the self-care. How is better parenting related to better self-care?
Well, if you can't deal with your kids, I mean, whether you've got a crying infant, a screaming 2-year-old, a rebellious adolescent, or anything in between, it's kind of hard to focus on self-care. It's hard to feel good about yourself when you've got this other person who is so important in your life not happy. And
Right.
so, in order to care for yourself, you have to know how to care for those around you. And I'm not a woman, but at least from my understanding of a woman's point of view, generally the family takes precedent over your self needs. I mean, that's what really a mother is. A mother bear will sacrifice herself for her cubs. How much more will a human mother do for her cubs? And she will sacrifice her fun. She will sacrifice her friends. She will sacrifice relationships for that child. That you don't have to do all of that. You can balance it if you have the tools. If you understand what's happening in your child's brain at 2, at 4, at 10, at 15, if you understand how their brain works, all 4 dimensions, what's going on. And what I do is I give you tools, I give you activities. The book has over 400 activities. If you've got a 2-year-old and you want to advance them emotionally, these are some activities. If you've got a teenager and you're worried about making moral choices, these are some activities to address that. And so in the martial arts, we teach you something and then we practice it. Here's the theory. Now let's practice together. That's what I set out to do. Here's the research behind what's happening in your child, how it's developing. And now here's the practical application, some simple, fun activities that you can do to develop that area of your child.
Yeah. And I love the way you wrote the book that way, because I believe the first chapter really kind of talks like about the 4 dimensions and all the different dimensionals, but you also wrote it as so, it can pertain to everyone. There's a different chapter for all the different ranges.
Yeah, I specifically did that. I divided it into age group
Mhm.
and then actually made it available that way on my website. You don't know me, you're not sure you like it. For under $1, you can get that chapter for your age group. You can afford $1 and find out if it's going to help you. And so, yes, you can buy chapter by chapter, or of course, the whole book.
Yeah. Yeah. $1 is definitely worth it. Or even a few dollars is worth it to keep your sanity and your self-care. Cause, like you said, and it's true. Women have a tendency, most women that I know, and I know I'm the same way, where we put everybody first all the time, which was why I have that platform of, self-care isn't selfish. It's essential to take care of yourself. And part of that is learning how to balance and do all these, and it's vice versa. I mean, I think it goes both ways. Um, so how is better self-care important to better childcare? How do you see that relation going?
Just a simple example, when you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask comes down, what do? You put the oxygen mask on you first so you don't pass out, and then you put it on your child. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to be healthy. You've got to be strong to take care of your family. And so physically, and you've got to eat right, get a little bit of exercise, whatever, yoga classes, uh, some kind of cardio, fun something, bike riding, swimming, whatever's fun.
Mhm.
But take care of your body, get some exercise, and eat properly. And then when you eat properly and get exercise, that's the example to your children to live that way. Mentally, keep learning. The internet has many problems, but it's an amazing resource for information. And so you can search for better parenting. You can search for the terrible twos and get all kinds of advice on your website, Facebook page, on our, since I'm a member, once a week I put up some advice on different age groups and what to do. And it links to an article on my blog. So trying to get the information out there. The mental dimension, you can continue to learn. Emotionally, if you're going to give love, you better have a resource, a well of love stored up that you can give. Because if you keep giving without replenishing, it's going to run out and you're going to snap. And finally, spiritually, to me, that's the source of everything. If you have that spiritual belief where you understand that you're doing good. I mean, even if you don't believe in religion, you're a total atheist, I hope you believe in morality and doing good. And if you believe you are doing good for your family, for your friends, for your relationships, that's the basis of self-confidence. And everything can be built on that. But no matter how good looking, how rich, how important you are, if you don't believe that you're a good person, you will not have that confidence and you won't have that belief in yourself.
Yeah. And from what I understand, I don't have kids myself, but from what I understand, there was a lot of people that struggled, especially with COVID, being locked down, kids not being able to go to school and interact. And so they're probably brought on more new challenges with the family as well. And, learning to adapt different ways.
Yeah, people, I think that the lockdown was the greatest thing that ever happened to teachers. People fully understood what they do, what they're capable of, what they need to do just to prepare to teach. And not only the preparation, the college, most of them a master's degree, but also the preparation of what am I going to do tomorrow, and how to deal with Johnny, who's got ADD, and Cheryl over here, who's a member of Mensa, and they're both in the same class. And so how do you balance that out? What do you do? Just having 2 or 3 kids at home, you can imagine having 30. So yes, teachers are worth more than their weight in gold. I think people started to realize that. And what I wanted to do was take those same tools. I've had the educational background, I've done the psychological research, make that available to parents so that quickly, easily they can understand. This is why your kid's acting that way. This is what's happening in the brain. And here's what you can do about it.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful resource. And I really do appreciate all the posts and stuff that you share to the community and everything about that. It's a great resource for people. Is that your main focus? Do you ever work with people one-on-one, or do you still teach?
I am retired,
Okay.
but I spent 30 years developing programs in the martial arts, basically teaching the school owners how to stay in business so that they didn't close and their students had nowhere to go, but also how to teach better with my educational background. We developed the after-school martial arts programs. I'm sure you've seen the signs in your community, after-school martial arts, summer camp martial arts. We popularized that, didn't invent it, but brought it out to the public. And then I put my educational background into a program. And those who joined our version of it got all these kinds of activities that basically are now available to the public in the book. So I took a very successful program teaching the children physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually or morally, and made it available to the parents. Very inexpensive. Anybody can read the chapter in a couple of days and have the activities to use for months and months until the child grows out of that need and into the next chapter.
That is awesome. I love that you took the time to do that. And that is your website. I believe we have showing right above your head, right? The 4d2d.com.
But there's a dash. If you
No,
just
well, dash, yeah, 4d-2d, yes, .com.
Otherwise, you end up in China somewhere. That's just the internet.
Yeah, it's always funny how one little thing can just whoop send you someplace you didn't even want to be.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And that's got, again, more information, the opportunity to buy the book or the chapter, or you can search for the title on Amazon. If you go Raising 4-Dimensional, That should be enough. The title of the book is Raising Four-Dimensional Children in a Two-Dimensional World, because I believe we're living more and more in a two-dimensional world. We're on Facebook right now, two-dimensional world, length and width, but no depth. And according to H.G. Wells, the fourth dimension is time. So I want to get kids off the screen most of the day and into the real world and out there having fun.
Kind of like what we used to do before all this
Yes,
became
exactly.
popular.
Before all this became popular, it was run around like crazy all day and then watch TV at night. That was my generation. And so now we've got all kinds of educational programs available online. I mean, you can pretty well go to college online, as well as do lots of not so good things online.
Sure. Oh, everything has its pros and cons. It's all about how you use it and using them right. But I love that, especially the fact that you made that available where it, you know, a person could just get the chapter or two chapters or whatever pertains to them. I don't think I've ever seen an author that has made that available, you know, for their book or a book written that way. It's very unique.
Yes, and just appropriate. I mean, buying a novel by the chapter, you know, okay, I'm excited about the first chapter. I have to buy the next chapter. But if I only have a 2-year-old, I only need the 2-year-old chapter for the next couple of years.
Great. So is that the best way for people to contact or reach out to you then, is to go to your website, or is there other
Yes,
methods you
go to the
prefer?
website, but you can go to my Facebook page. Any of my posts on White Sand, you can just click on my picture, come to my page, leave me a message, become a friend, direct message, private message me. But yes, that's the best way.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share that with everybody, and please keep making those posts. I love seeing those posts and stuff come up there because I think it's always important. And it makes it so easy. Like you say, you just click, it goes to the blog, and they can learn more. And obviously you cover the whole realm. I don't know if we've ever made that clear in the post, but I think we did with the interview here. You cover the whole realm. So, you know, definitely if you have a child age, that will pertain to them. So if they're struggling, I think it's a great resource
And
for
even
parents.
prenatal care. And, you know, this is the time of year where people are pregnant. They're going to have pretty soon a gender reveal party or something. Great gift.
It is a great gift. Well, thank you once again. Did you want to share anything else with the audience before we go today?
No, I think we've covered it well enough. And I'm just pleased, happy, honored that you have invited me to talk to your audience, and hope that everybody out there, if you're having trouble with your kids, there is hope. There are tools. Just do a little research and you can find it.
Absolutely. And thank you again for sharing all that with everybody. And I hope you had a wonderful holidays. And I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe, happy new year, as well as a prosperous and healthy new year, because that's what we're all about. Self-care, taking better care of ourselves. So I don't think you have to wait to the new year to start, but you know, some people do. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next week.